Alright, so here's a sample of the new project. It's called Body Language, and the idea is you're going to be putting words inside of the body, and you make it look as though the letters make up those pieces of the body. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. This is a picture of Aaron Judge, so you're going to need a picture of a figure, and then you're also going to be needing something for the background, and that could be a gradient, or that could be a solid color, or I found this Yankee background that I put it in. Okay, so you're going to need a figure, and you're going to be needing something for the background. And like I said, you can just decide on doing a gradient or something for that. So let's get started. So you're going to open up a picture. Now this is the one that I'm going to do as a demonstration, and this is the one that I'm going to have available for you to demonstrate with. So the first thing that we do, and you could practice with this one, but eventually do your own, is you are going to get rid of this background. Now you could do it by selecting, pieces of the background, and then unlock the background and hit delete, and you can get rid of pieces like that. But there's actually a shortcut that you guys could use, and it's right up here. You go to the button that has Quick Object Select Tool, Quick Selection Tool, Magic Wand Tool. If you hit the letter W, it should take you to that suite. And you go to Select Subject right along the top here. So what it'll do is it will select the subject. Now you might need to go back and double check. This picture seems to work out pretty well, where it looks like it selected it pretty exactly. Looks pretty good. Maybe I might want to go back and where the fingers are. It looks like they, got some of the negative space. Makes the hands look like they're webbed a bit. But this is good enough for this demonstration. But when you want to work with your own, if you found that it didn't select it well and you want to fix up an area, it's going to be all based on these lasso tools. So I'm going to use, for example, the Polygonal Lasso tool, and I'm on Subtract from Selection. So if I want to subtract this area from the selection, I do it like that. All right? If I wanted to add something, let's say that I wanted to add a piece like this, you can do it like that. And if you wanted to subtract, you would go like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to just select the figure. I hit Command J. Okay, so you can see it made a new layer, and it has just my selection. So at this point, if I want to throw the background in the garbage, I don't need it anymore. I'm literally just going to be working on this figure. So I'm now going to decide what text I'm going to put down, and also where it's going to be. Set it up by hitting the text, the type tool. Change the font to Impact. If you have another one in mind, that's fine, but Impact works really well. And I'm going to click somewhere in the torso. Decide on where you want the writing to be. Let's say I just wanted just quickly write something in the torso. If you wanted it to go up the leg and stuff like that, you can do whatever you want. But I'm going to put the words in the torso. So I'm going to zoom in. All capital letters. And so let's do long distance runner. So I have the word long, and I put it pretty much where I want it to be. I'm going to make a new layer, so I hit the type tool again. I'm going to write the word distance. Oh, sorry, all caps. Move it over. I could squish it, size it up, take care of that later. And then the next word is runner. So when you do yours, you're picking 4 or 5 different words. All right, but we're just going to do this really quick. So figure out where you want this to be. Set up the letters so they're really, really close. This one looks pretty good. And again, just to review, I'm going to the Type tool. I want that character window, so I'm going to click on this button right there. There's my character window. This VA will allow the letters to be far apart or close together. And I put my cursor right on that icon. I can dictate how wide I want the letters to go. I could make this a little sideways if I wanted to, just to kind of conform with the body, like that. This body's a bit on a slant. And so I'm going to do the same thing with each of these words. So again, I can change the distance of the spaces in between. I can stretch it out. I'm going to rotate it so it's kind of the same as this one here. I can make it a little taller. Oops. And move runner over. It's actually a good size. I don't really want to change it much. Okay. So you can see I kind of set the words up pretty much where I want them to be. Okay. Now the next thing is I need to select the area where the words are going to be replacing. So the words are going to be replacing this part of the torso right here, like right above the long, below the runner. I'm going to go to the layer, and I want to cut this out separately. I want this to be a separate layer. So what I'm doing is I'm using the Polygonal Lasso tool, and I'm coming into that part of the body. I'm going to make long invisible because I want to see where that contour is. I'm going to come in really close here and get that line down there. Like, I don't want to get the arm. So I'm going to go to Add to Selection. Like I said, I didn't want to get that arm in there. Okay. So that part of the body, I'm going to go to Layer 1 and I'm going to cut it and paste it. So I'm going to go to Edit, Cut, and then Edit, Paste, which will be Command V. So I can just do the shortcuts, Command X, Command V. So you can see it's in a different spot. I just got to put it back where it belongs. Make the text invisible for a second so I can focus on doing that. So this is the only piece of the body that I'm going to be working with. I can even take this and make this invisible for now. Okay. So now, the next thing is, I'm going to take this text, and I want to warp it a little bit. All right. Now, if I go ahead and I go to Edit, Transform, Warp, it's not going to warp in the way that I actually want it to. It's going to conform to a text warp, which I don't want to do. So what you want to do is you want to rasterize this layer. You want to simplify it. So you can right-click on the right-hand side of this layer in the Layers window. You can go to a word called Rasterize, Rasterize Type, and you can see now it's a plain layer. Another way you can do it, you can go up to Layer, Rasterize, Type. It does the same exact thing. It's just the shortcut is over here. If you go right-click, Rasterize Type. Okay. So now that they're rasterized, they're going to act differently if I go to Edit, Transform, Warp. So it gives me this grid, and I can literally warp it. You want the words to be slightly bigger than the space that you are on top of. Slightly bigger. Alright, so there's long, and you can have some fun with this, like if you wanted to stretch it out, like if you're doing something more like an arm, or you want to show a little bit like a wrinkle or something, you can make them a little bit wavy. So now, but if I go to distance, I gotta move that letter design up a bit. So I go to Image, Transform, Distort. Avoid having the words overlapping one another. And once again, you want to make sure that you are slightly going on top, like going slightly beyond the edge of that space. Looks good. And I commit. And now runner. Same thing. Edit, transform, distort. Sorry. Make sure I get this. Distort. Nope. I'm sorry. Edit, transform, warp. Sorry about that. And I'll stretch this out a little bit. I'll bring this up a little bit. Come in a bit. It's okay if it's wavy. It looks cool when it's wavy. You just want to make sure it's legible, readable. Okay. Now that I'm done with this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these layers together, make them into one layer. So I can select one, hold down the Command button, select all of them, right-click inside the window on the right-hand side, and I can go to Merge Layers. I also have that ability to go to Layer, and it has the same thing here. Command E is the shortcut. So now they're in one layer. I want to select all the letters, so I put my cursor on top of the layer thumbnail, hold down the Command button, and click. And it selects all the letters, and I want to cut them out of the torso. So I click on the torso, and I'm going to cut and paste. So Command X, Command V. I'm going to put this back in place here. And I'm using the arrows to get it in perfect spot. So it doesn't look like really anything, but if I bring the picture back and take that leftover torso, the part that is not the letters, now you can see I made that invisible. If I like it so much, I could put it in the trash, and that's a done deal. Okay? It's at this point where if I wanted to put it into a background, or if I wanted to just add a gradient, I just added a new blank layer. I can go to the gradient tool. I can pick something. And I can just put this in the background like that. All right, and that's pretty much it. So, the idea is you want to go cut out as much of the figure as you want and replace them with the words. So you can watch this as much as you want, and you're going to eventually apply it to your own design. Any questions, any issues, going back to this video is going to be extremely helpful. But I should be around to help you out with whatever you need. So just a review, make sure that you have Impact as a font style. If you have a different one that you want to pick, that's fine. Just make sure it's nice and thick, all capital letters. You're picking a figure that you can remove the background pretty easily. Make sure that you properly removed the background. You can see here I still have the webbing on the side over here. Can I go ahead and fix that up? Heck yeah, you can do that. You can just even use the eraser tool and make sure you're on the correct layer. And oops, of course it's too big of a brush. I'm going to use the polygonal tool instead. And I could hit delete, so I can fix up some areas as I need to. If I wanted to add any letters on, like if I wanted to go up by the chest here, it would be just a matter of selecting a new area using this tool right here. So if I wanted to get rid of, I wanted to put some words like in this part of the chest, I would copy and paste this as a separate layer, put the words on top of there, and cut out the letters from that space.